Alright, today I'm talking about 10 new fragrance houses that are worth discovering in case you haven't already. So these are fairly new houses. There might be some that might be a little older than some of the other ones that I'm talking about today, but they're fairly new and they're very, very new to me, and I wanted to highlight them for you guys in case you wanted to discover a new house with new fragrances that you might have never sampled before. So find out about 10 new fragrance houses coming right up. Thanks so much for tuning in. This is Sebastian. Yes, today I'm talking about 10 new fragrance houses that you might have not discovered before, and I wanted to highlight these and point them out to you guys as they are very, very new houses, new on the market, and or new for me completely. Some might be more familiar than others, but they're very, very underhyped houses, and I wanted to let you know about these houses because they do have some great fragrances. I also have one bonus house after the outro, or outro, since you guys like outro, and I'm actually going to do a video on that house coming up in the weekend, so I'm going to just tell you about them as well. So I wanted to feature them as a bonus house because I've never spoken about them on the channel before, and this coming weekend I'll be talking about them. Before I let you know about the houses and their fragrances, if this is your first time tuning into this channel and you haven't subscribed to the channel, please click the subscribe button and also click the bell so that you'll be notified for future videos and giveaways. Let's get started. First house we're going to talk about is LOUMARI. So I'm going to talk about 3 fragrances from this house. One is ALMERIA. It's a really delicious tobacco fragrance with caramel and almonds, and some sweet touches with vanilla and musk, and some spices as well, a little citrusy touch. My favorite fragrance from this house. It's absolutely really delicious, and I think it's definitely worth checking out. They do have a new fragrance in their line. It's called MAYDAN, this one right here. So this is more of a spicy, ambery, lightly fruity kind of an experience, which I think is definitely going to be perfect come fall and winter, because it's that kind of a fragrance. It's kind of warm and spicy, ambery touches and woods and things like that, and some fruits. So that is a brand new release. They just launched it. And then finally, I am going to talk about also NUAGE Noir, this one right here. And this is a leather fragrance, mostly leather fragrance, but it does have some fresh touches with the bergamot along with some spices and warm spices of cinnamon. There's actually like a chocolatey touch as well, along with papyrus and bergamot. So delicious. A great house, very underrated. Maybe you have heard about them in case you caught my original video about them. Or maybe you didn't, but I think definitely worth checking out. And also, before I go to the next house, I wanted to let you know they have another new fragrance coming out, and I find it to be absolutely delicious. So I'm actually anticipating. They actually sent me a sampler to test it out and give them my advice. I actually really like that smell. Anyway, it's LOUMARI. Check them out if you don't know them. Alright, next house I'm talking about is Thomas DeMonico, and the fragrance is Raw Gold. Comes in here. I did a full review of this house, and actually they only have one fragrance, and I'm only highlighting one fragrance because that's all they have, but it's an absolute stunner of a fragrance, and also very beastly. Now when I say beastly with this particular fragrance, it has major longevity, but I wouldn't call it as one of the beastliest projections in sillage. It definitely has it, but I would call this more beastly for its performance and longevity. Actually, after I did my review of this fragrance, I actually went and bought a brand new bottle as well, because it's a very limited run fragrance and it's to die for. It features notes of Opoponax, Patchouli, honey, suede leather, Tonka beans, coffee, civet, liqueur. It does have a little bit of an animalic undertone, a little barnyardy kind of an experience, but it's a great fragrance. If you don't know Raw Gold from Thomas DeMonico, definitely check that out. I think it's definitely worth it. After I did my review, it sold out at 2 stores. It was selling at Lucky Scent, sold out, and then also AIDS was selling it, and it sold out there as well. But now ZGO Perfumery has this fragrance as well. The one last thing I should say about Thomas DeMonico is I don't know what they're coming up with as a next fragrance. I don't know if it's going to be a limited edition fragrance like the Raw Gold is, but I'm actually very excited for a launch from them. Moving on to the house of Maison Violet, I'm going to talk about 3 fragrances, and I've been highlighting this brand on the channel quite a bit. The first fragrance I wanted to talk to you about is On Air, the Apogee, this one right here. A very, very sexy tobacco fragrance. Really a delicious composition, kind of honeyed. Because honey and tobacco are a match made in heaven. They work wonderfully together. And in this one, you not only have the tobacco with honey, you also have mimosa for kind of a yellow floral experience. With the mimosa flower having these honeyed undertones, it really kind of like amplifies the honeyed experience here. There's a little leather, there's some anise, cistus labdanum, some sage and cedar, along with ambroxan to make a wonderfully delicious tobacco fragrance. The next fragrance from this house that I recommend is this fragrance called Sketch. It's a ambery patchouli or vanillic patchouli experience that's to die for. Really, really warm and spicy. If you like amber, you've got to get this one. If you like patchouli, you've got to get this one. And even better if you like them both together, because it is really a match made in heaven here. But along with the vanilla and patchouli, there's tonka beans, tuberose, nutmeg, pink pepper, bergamot, and rose. Very, very delicious experience. That is Sketch. And the last fragrance I'm going to recommend is TANAGRA. This one right here for more of an iris powdery experience. With that initial blast with this one, it kind of reminds me of Dior Homme, but that kind of fades away. It becomes kind of a citrusy iris powdery experience with iris tangerine, musk, vetiver, cedar, peony, jasmine, freesia, and pear. So there's a little bit of a fruitiness there. So it's Tanagra from the house of Maison Violet. If you don't know that house, check it out. One last thing I should say about that house is those three fragrances are created by Nathalie Lorson. Alright, next house I'm going to talk to you about is Atelier Metairie. It's a kind of a small independent niche house from France that I discovered in 2019 with one of their fragrances called well, it used to be called Pot d'Ambrette. It's now been changed to Bois d'Ambrette. It's a very musky, vegetal, powdery, musky experience that's to die for delicious. So Pot d'Ambrette, actually really, really great fragrance from this house. Still my favorite fragrance, but they launched this in 2021, Narcisse Taiji, which I keep featuring in different videos. That's kind of a yellow floral Narcisse Hay Patchouli Musk experience with some leather, bran, and ginger. This is a really, really great fragrance. I absolutely love that fragrance. Both of those fragrances are top-notch, unique fragrances that I love. And then finally, Rose Ardoise from this brand. This one just came out. It's very rosy, but it's kind of dry and metallic, a little minerally with vetiver, rose, chinosmol, sage, ambroxan, leather, and nutmeg. Great fragrances from Atelier Metairie. If you don't know the house, do check them out. I think they do some great work and unique fragrances, and I definitely recommend them. All right, moving on to a house called Obvious Parfums, and I've got three fragrances to highlight from this house. And it's a fairly inexpensive house for niche. It's around $140 for 100 ml. Yes, it's definitely over 100, but I think it's not like $200 or $300. And it's definitely really wearable fragrances. The first fragrance I'm going to talk to you about is Un Bois. This one right here, a very musky, woody experience, kind of like an amped up version of Eccentric Molecules, Molecule 1, with some additional notes like black pepper, papyrus, vetiver, and things like that. It's a great fragrance. I love Un Bois, and I think it's a kind of a simplistic, minimalistic, but with more depth kind of a fragrance wearing experience. The new one, although this is not their newest one, which is the Fig, but Un Vervain is a really, really great fresh aromatic, citrus aromatic herbal kind of an experience with a lemony touch with the verbena, the ginger, galbanum, vetiver, lemons, cardamom, juniper berries, and habanolide. And then finally, it's Un Musk. Un Musk is also really, really a great fragrance. Absolutely love this one. This is also a bit minimalistic and also kind of, one of those like minimalistic fragrances like I don't know what from DS and Durga, or even the fragrances of Eccentric Molecules, but it's more of a sexy musky touch. And it features these very unique notes like globalide, helvetolide, ambertolide, muscanone with vetiver, amyris, galbanum, bergamot, and ginger. All three are great fragrances. I'm anticipating the launch of the new one, Un Fig, and I'll report back as soon as I can on that fragrance. I absolutely love that that style of fragrance, and always looking for a new Fig fragrance because I enjoy the note a lot in fragrances. Alright, moving on to the house of Nilafar du Nil. I did a video on this house last year around December, and one of the fragrances I'm absolutely obsessed with, Niloufer here, and it's a kind of an amber fougere experience with almonds, hazelnuts, vanilla, heliotrope, lavender, and cinnamon. It's warm, spicy, powdery, ambery, but kind of has that barbershop-y vibe. Niloufer, a wonderful fragrance. This next one is Jardins de la Bergamot. That's the correct one, yeah. This is a very, very fresh sparkling, effervescent kind of a bergamot experience with kind of green touches. It features bergamot, petitgrain, neroli, grapefruit, musk, ambroxan, vetiver, and lime. Really, really refreshing, and it's going to be perfect for summer. I can't wait to wear that one in the summertime. And then finally, Narmar. This is kind of a spicy, leathery, you know, signature style kind of a fragrance, and with some aromatics thrown in as well. It features cardamom, suede, cashmere, lavender, tobacco, clary sage, and tea. So it definitely has some musky touches, but definitely spices and leather. Narmar, great house. They are now being sold at Lucky Scents, so you can always go get those fragrances over there as well. Alright, next fragrance house I'm talking about is Lorenzo Pizzalia, and the first fragrance I'm going to talk to you about is Carbonara. All the fragrances from this house are Extrait de Parfum, so they're very, very high concentration, long-lasting fragrances. And Carbonara is named after that famous Italian pasta dish, spaghetti carbonara. It doesn't have a kind of a, you know, smell of the spaghetti carbonara, but I think the reason they're calling this carbonara, because carbonara to me, which I'm a fan of, I love eating it, has lots of black pepper, and same with this one. There's loads of black pepper here, along with lots of amber, vanilla, sandalwood, and pink pepper, coconut, davana, jasmine, and rum. It's a great, great amber fragrance. If you haven't caught that one, definitely check it out. Bloody Smoke is another one. It's a kind of a metallic incense smoky fragrance, maybe a little minerally as well. It features mineral notes, metallic notes, incense, elemi resin, olibanum, myrrh, ambergris, sandalwood, and tonka. A great fragrance. Those are my two favorites. And then also recently discovered Adam and Eve's Dress. Interesting name for a fragrance, but it's a fig fragrance, and it features fig fruit, fig leaf, fig tree, green notes, jasmine, milk, woods, tuberose. Very green figgy experience, and like I said earlier, I really love fig and fragrances, and this one definitely doesn't disappoint. So that's Adam and Eve's Dress, and 3 fragrances from the house of Lorenzo Pizzalia. Alright, next house I'm going to talk to you about is Jazil, and 3 fragrances from this house. The first one being Gala, this one right here. Look at that beautiful red stamp on the back. I love this bottle. It's a gorgeous looking bottle. Gala is a very rose oud, intense rose oud combo, but it's also got major animalic touches, and some people are very sensitive to it from when I've introduced it to some people, and others have not been. So I don't know, I'm not as sensitive to it. I can pick it up, and some people react very negatively for the, you know, the animalics in there, but it's got a bunch of different types of oud here. There's rose, there's Turkish rose, there's patchouli, incense, ambergris, and sandalwood. A great, great fragrance. Absolutely love that fragrance, and very, very long lasting. Next fragrance is a fragrance called Shuk. This one right here. This one's a clear bottle with that blue stamp on the back. This is Bulgarian rose, Indian sandalwood, Gurjum balsam, cypriol, oud, musk, geranium, lily of the valley, and vetiver. It's a different fragrance compared to the last one, but still kind of a woody, oudy, rosy, floral experience. Shuk, a great fragrance. I do enjoy it, but I definitely like Gala more. And then finally, this is Hayam for a leather tobacco experience, and this one has that on the back. These are clear bottles, as I said. Leather, tobacco, cloves, nutmeg, gin, bergamot, orris, cedar, and sandalwood. I prefer Hayam number 2 and Gala number 1, and then Shuk at number 3, but they're all really, really great fragrances from this house, and definitely worth checking out if you haven't caught that brand. Very, very luxury and very Middle Eastern style fragrances. Alright, moving on to a house called Lorga Parfums. The first fragrance I'm going to talk to you about is Ambre Platine, this one right here. So this is a kind of a gourmand amber experience. It's really, really delicious, and also kind of very almondy, nutty experience. It features notes of caramel, almonds, vanilla, cinnamon, pink pepper, white musk, rose, and mandarin, along with amber touches. A great amber experience there, Ambre Platine. And this next one is a rose and incense combo, rose d'encens. A really, really great experience here. Lots of rose with lots of incense. There's some fruity touches there, raspberry, black currant, and of course it has ambery touches as well with labdanum and vanilla along with tonka beans. So rose d'encens is a great, great fragrance experience with the rose and the incense. And then finally, Cuir Affine is what I should say. Cuir Affine is a leather fragrance, leather with tobacco. It does feature hazelnuts for a little bit of a nutty experience, and it has this kind of like milky creaminess from the milk note, along with some tuberose and bergamot. So it's a different kind of a leather fragrance, a little animalic, a little nutty, and tobacco-ish, of course. It's a Cuir Affine, and that's the 3rd fragrance from Lorga Parfums. That definitely you guys should check that house out. I'm curious to find their or smell their 3 latest fragrances. They just launched 3 new fragrances. So I'm dying to check those out as well. And finally, last but not least, I'm talking about a house called Sous-le Manteau. I don't know if you guys are familiar with this house. I did a video on this house as well last year. And their bottles are really unique. Here they are, colorful, you know, long bottles, kind of matte finish. They feel really great in the hand, and they don't feel slippery because they got that kind of like texture here. But my favorite is Cuir d'Orient. It's another amber with vanilla, but more vanilla than amber here, and a little leathery touch with suede leather, vanilla, benzoin, Opoponax, patchouli, orris, heliotrope, musk, and ambrette. All these fragrances are definitely powdery. I feel like all the fragrances from this house have a powdery experience, and I think that's their signature. All the fragrances are created by Nathalie Feistauer. The next fragrance I'm going to talk to you about is this one, Poudre Impériale. Name is Poudre, powder. This one is a spicy, resinous, powdery fragrance. Once again, it has lots of spices. Pink pepper, black pepper, cardamom. And then it has notes of elemi resin, heliotrope. This adds lots of powdery touches. Some cedar, benzoin, musk, and tonka. A great fragrance. And then last but not least, Fontaine Royale. Where is the name? Here it is. Fontaine Royale is really, really great. I really like this particular fragrance with orris, labdanum, sandalwood, musk, vanilla, ambrette, geranium, cedar, rose, jasmine, and bergamot. This one to me is more of like an iris powder experience, but along with the kind of ambery touches in the base and things like that. So it's a great fragrance, a great house to check out. Very, very underrated, and that's exactly the theme of this video, are fragrance houses that not a lot of people are talking about. It's a great way to discover new houses in case you haven't heard about them, and a great way for you to find out which fragrances I prefer from the houses. And since you follow me, you might like my taste, so maybe you can check these fragrances out and report back and let me know what you think about the fragrances. Anyway, this was not a rank list, by the way. I didn't mention it at the beginning. I'm just giving you a selection of 10 houses with 3 fragrances each, obviously, with the Thomas DeMonico being the only one with 1 fragrance, because that's all they have. But let me know if you know these houses. Are you familiar with them? Have you tried any of their fragrances? I'd like to find out. Although I do feature and talk about these houses you know, on the channel quite frequently, some more than others, as I haven't had a chance to feature the others, but you know, I wouldn't recommend anything to you guys that I don't personally, you know, like. So all these are fragrances that I really, really enjoy myself. So let me know if you've tried them. Let me know if you're curious to try them if you haven't. And also let me know which houses I should check out. It's always great for me to discover new houses. And I've got some new house videos lined up for Sundays, so stay tuned for those as well. And of course, the one that I'm going to talk to you about here as a bonus house will be a video I'll do this coming Sunday. But yeah, let me know if there are any other houses I should check into. Other than that, guys, please do like this video. Please share it. Follow me on Instagram and Facebook, and I'll be back with more videos very soon. Have a good one. Goodbye. Alright, and the bonus house I'm going to talk to you about, which you guys will have to wait for a video on Sunday on this house. I'm going to do a video on all 5 of their fragrances, but I'm highlighting 3 of the fragrances that I really, really enjoy. So the first one I'm going to talk to you about is, where is it? A Man's Cologne from Gravel. This is Gravel, and look, they have this little gravel inside these bottles, as you can see right here. Almost like the Atelier des Ors house, Atelier des Ors, which has the gold flakes. This is called Gravel, and it's kind of like a New York you know, inspired house, but the brand is from Germany, from what I believe. Man's Cologne, I should say also the next 2 fragrances are a bit on the citrus aromatic masculine side, which kind of classic masculine gentlemanly fragrances, which I do like. A Man's Cologne is citruses, patchouli, tonka beans, benzoin, incense of vetiver, and musk. I think it's a very, very classy fragrance. It does lean masculine, and it is, according to the databases, it's targeted to men, but I think women can totally pull off a Man's Cologne. It's definitely not really a man's cologne, but it does have kind of a masculine quality to it. American Dream is the next fragrance, which is a unisex targeted fragrance, and this one is a citrus aromatic, but with classic touches once again. It smells fantastic with lemons, bergamot, basil, orange, petitgrain, lavender, moss, vetiver, and patchouli with tonka beans. Really, really great house. I'm surprised how great these are. They're very classy wearers. They're not like overwhelming. They're not like overly beastly with big projection and things like that. So I think they make great classy, you know, dressy, gentlemanly wear experiences. But the next fragrance, Across the Ocean, is so, so amazing. And even though it's got that name, I was a little scared to go near it. It doesn't have any aquatic or marine touches, but it smells really, really great on me. Tonka beans, cashmere wood, lemons, oud, rose, gaiac wood, musk, and vanilla. It's a musky, sweet, ambery kind of an experience with rose. The rose comes in, definitely musky touches, a little tobacco-ish nuances and some citruses. The rose is also there, you can definitely pick it up. In fact, the rose actually blooms more when it's warm outside and you're, you know, sweating a little bit and the fragrance is on you and the rose kind of intensifies. Really enjoyed this one across the ocean, but yeah, this is a great house. Definitely look up and wait for my review on Sunday for that particular house, as I'll be talking about it in full in the video of all 5 of their fragrances. But anyway guys, thanks so much for sticking around to find out about the bonus house today. Stay tuned for another video tomorrow. Bye bye.